time for another turf soup from the Aquatrols company. I'm Pat Jones. I'm here today with Troy Noble. Troy, how the heck are you?
I'm doing well, thanks, Pat. Appreciate you having me.
Oh, you'll change your mind about that. No, I am delighted to have you because I think that you're in a position to really talk about some important things that Aquatrols does as a leader in the industry, but also to learn a little bit more about you and your background. So, you just started recently at Aquatrols after a very successful career as a golf course superintendent in the Massachusetts area. What are you doing for the company now? What is your role with the Aquatrols company?
So my role is golf technical services manager. I'm part of the research and development team. The idea of bringing me on was to kind of add a practical end user view to the research and development team, which is very technical. We have a couple PhDs, so just getting that end user feel in that development process of new products, developing, our portfolio.
So when you came over, you had worked quite a bit with the products from the Precision line, and so you really knew that coming in, and you'd done some testing working with the team before. So you were part of this process of trialing new products in the real world. So now you're kind of overseeing that. Tell us how it works. So technically, you've got scientists and R&D people developing products, and then that flows through into something that may or may not work, and it's a possibility, but then it gets tested in the field. Where do you come in, and what are you doing to help superintendents try it?
Yeah, so we're testing the Prove is our end user trial program. The Prove is an acronym. I won't go through all the details on that right now, but um, yeah, it's products, bringing new products to market or taking products that we already have in our portfolio and looking to see if there's other ways we can use those. Bringing it to superintendents, sports field managers, I mean, lawn care companies, bringing it to them so they can get the product out there in the field, see what it's actually doing on their property or just out on a golf course in general. University trials will get you a lot of data, but to find out what it's actually going to do on a golf course where you're doing 25, 30, 40,000 rounds a year, how is it actually going to perform in those conditions?
Right. So you'll work with the superintendents to get that information and have them kind of keep track of things and put it all together, and then create some sort of a document or some sort of a strategy to move ahead. So how often do you get to the point where you've looked at something and you think, nah, it just isn't. I mean, there's got to be times when you tried something and it doesn't quite work.
Yeah, it's funny because when I first came on, Matt Fleetwood, he's like, don't get discouraged. He's like,
Right.
50% of these trials may not work out. He's like, but that's the point of getting as many out there as we can. Get a bunch of trials out there. It may not go as we want to. Obviously, there's being a superintendent, there's a lot of fat variables that you can't control, between the weather and just anything all the stuff you deal with every day on the golf course. It's trials may not go the way you want them to every time. Um,
But you have to do
but you have to do them. And
them.
it's with
When
the
you
with the proved trials, it's really what we're trying to do is make it as easy as possible on the superintendent. Um, when I was at Nishotic doing proof trials with Precision Labs, Matt sent me over what looked like a university protocol of stuff that he wanted to see in the trials, and I pretty much pushed that aside and said, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that." But it's about making it work for the superintendent where they can easily fit it into their daily routine and still be able to
right.
get some data, get some testing, and let us know what their feedback is on the product.
You got a chance to look at new stuff, but you were also a user of Precision products. What was your go-to? What was your favorite product to have in your back pocket during those awful Massachusetts summer periods?
I tell you, there was quite a few of them. I loved Cascade Plus on greens. Obviously, Cascade Tray is out now, and I actually trialed some of that product while I was there too, and just a fantastic product for hydration, helping us keep water moving into the soil.
Can you explain to me what the difference is between the original Cascade and Cascade Tray? What changed?
So the big thing is with Cascade Plus, especially through the middle of summer, you could put the product out. You had to get water on it right away. There was some
Okay.
potential for burning there. With this new formulation, it works just as well. Like I said, we trialed it out, compared it side by side. It's working the same way as Cascade Plus, but you don't have that burn potential. We
Great.
left it out there for 6, 7 hours before we put any water on it and didn't see anything, which is huge. It's opens up the potential for other uses for it, putting it in a foliar spray and then washing it in later, or if you halfway through a tank don't get a green finish, you don't have to throw some water on it before you come back to finish it and then dump more water on it. So
Yeah, it's been demanding in the past to use some of these
yeah.
products. And then no, as you moved over and found out more about Aquatrols portfolio, what jumps out there that you were like, dang, I wish I would have known about this too. Which products do you like on that side?
One big one that I've really kind of drawn to was Zipline. I've heard a lot of people talk about Revolution. Never tried it myself, but everybody's talked about the amount of water that it took to get it into the soil. But with Zipline, with that addition of the infiltrators in there, and still being as effective as Revolution, that product seems very, very appealing to me from the
Yeah.
superintendent view of it.
Yeah, we did some research last year and it wasn't a huge study, but it was asking superintendents their likes and dislikes about products. And we asked if there was just one product that you could pick from all the manufacturers and all the portfolios, and it was Zipline.
Yeah.
So it's definitely made a difference in the marketplace. So as you go around and you are, working to set up trials and things like that, so what else do you do for fun? What are you trying to do when you're not either working or spending time with your family? We'll talk about your family in a minute. So what else do you do for fun?
Right now, it just seems like I'm trying to keep my head on straight and get used to this change in life.
Yeah,
Going from working on a golf course for 20 plus years, and seems like, summertime hits, springtime hits, and it's time to go. And that's just kind of the focus. And
yeah.
so it's, adjusting to having every weekend off. And, um, really the big adjustment has been working from home. I'm back in Iowa now, so um, remote office, working out of the house, and traveling to different sites and into the main office in New Jersey occasionally. But that's been my biggest focus. I do spend a lot of time with my family. That's the big part. Uh,
Yeah.
that's what I have younger kids, so that takes up a lot of the time. I enjoy going out with them, doing stuff that keeps them entertained, keeps them happy.
I was
Um,
gonna say, are you a kid sport dad already? Have they started?
not as intense as some are, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I
Okay.
do enjoy playing a little golf, but I that's another thing that I'm hoping I can do a little bit more now with maybe having a bit more time. I haven't gotten out there yet. So
So you're trying to live up to the stereotype of the former superintendent turned salesman.
trying.
But you make a couple of good points. If you're not used to working at home, it's disconcerting.
It's
I've
different.
been doing it now for 5, 6, 7 years, and it's still you feel kind of isolated. You
Yeah.
you feel like you constantly feel like you ought to be working, even if you've done the important stuff. So it does take some getting used to. I think we need to add that to this list. There's always been all these articles and conversations about what it's like to make the transition from being a turf manager into being a partner, supplier. What else have you learned from the process about making that transition?
It's I think as a superintendent, you kind of come up with your own thoughts about what's going on the other side. Um, and it's fun. I will say that I'm thoroughly enjoying what I'm doing. Um, yeah, I don't really know.
You're
It's
still in the middle of it.
I'm only
I think,
6 months, 7 months into the
yeah.
position. So like I said, it's all kind of a whirlwind right now, but Yeah, it's different. It's a totally different world, going to the turf shows and being on the other side on the
Yeah.
trade show floor was definitely eye-opening. Um, it's yeah, it's a different world. It's kind of hard for me to put it to words.
Well, some people struggle because it's your identity. Being a golf course superintendent is your identity. And one of the great strengths of this business is how the passion people have, and it's a lifestyle, not a job. All
Right.
that kind of stuff. So when you choose to make that change, it still kind of throws you off. When you get fired, it really throws you off. But when you choose to make this change, it takes a little bit of adjustment. So 6 months from now, we'll come back. We'll have this conversation again, and
Sounds
see
good.
see see what else you've learned about how to survive as a superintendent service salesman. So now, tell me about your family.
Yeah, so I was originally from Iowa. I grew up in Iowa, went to Iowa State. Actually went from Iowa to Colorado, spent 5 years out in the Rockies west of Vail, at a course there. And then that's where I met my now wife, who was from Massachusetts. So moved out to Massachusetts, did a season of lawn care there, and realized that's not where I wanted to be. Wanted to get back out on the golf course. Started at Nishotic and quickly worked my way through and was able to work my way into the director of grounds position and
Wow.
spent, let's see, it was almost 15 years out there. I was superintendent for 9 of those years. Um, Decided that it was time to make a change and get back to closer to my family. I'm from a big kind of extended family. My mom was one of 12, so lots of cousins and aunts and uncles that are still in Iowa. So we moved to Iowa, and that was kind of the shift into changing my career a little bit. We were already making a big change, so but yeah, we're in back in Iowa, and I have 3 kids. I have 9-year-old identical twin girls, and a 7-year-old little boy, and 2 puppies that we picked up around Christmas time. So it's just complete chaos here.
And how is your wife holding up? Yeah, did she have a real job outside the home?
So she worked from home
Does she?
already, which was, great with the kids,
Yeah.
being young, being able to be home with them, but being able to make that adjustment too. She works in direct sales, so she was just able to shift that over. And it's really been great because having done that for quite a few years, she was able just to kind of sit back, take a step back from that a little bit, still have income, still making sales with existing companies, and be able to focus on our, transition to an entire different way of life. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. My wife and I both work remotely mostly. She's out more than I am, but occasionally I'll kind of go upstairs and just say, "Hey, what's going on?" Just to have a conversation with another
yeah.
human being. We sort of meet at the coffee maker, kind of like at the office. Hey, how's your day going? So yeah, it does take some getting used to for sure. So when you've looked at now the Aquatrols company, this new combined thing, what a great bunch of people, huh? I mean, you've got now, I think, even more science and R&D talent than we've had before. But you've also got this kind of combined sales team and combined portfolio. What have you learned about this side of the business and this new company that has impressed you so far?
Like I said before, there's a lot to it. A lot of stuff that I didn't, never really thought of the sales side or these manufacturing companies, what they're actually going through. There's so many moving parts with distribution, production, the marketing aspect of it, all the
Yep.
different, direct sales companies that you're working with. There's just so many moving parts. And like you said, so many people that it takes to keep these parts working together like a fine-tuned machine.
Yeah.
It
And
really is
six
amazing.
years, 6 years of supply chain craziness the last,
Yeah,
so it is, you're oftentimes at the will of things you have no control over.
right, right. Which is relatable.
Yeah.
But at the
That
same
you
time,
bet.
it's just it's a different set of things that are out of your control. So,
Yeah, that's great. Well, so hopefully you'll still get a chance to go out and spend some more time in the field And where are you hoping to get to? Where are some places that you've always wanted to go see? Uh, how they grow grass out there in Monterey or at Bandon Dunes or places like that? What's on your wish list?
Yeah, I've never been up to, the Pacific Northwest area. I'd love to get up that way. The Aquatrols company is a global company, so we do have some trials going in Canada. We actually have our first one over in the UK going in Scotland. So we are kind of expanding those trials outside of, North America. And that's exciting to me. I was able to go over to the big conference, BTME,
Yeah,
over there in January. That was eye-opening. That was my first time being overseas. So that was cool. And like you said, it's like a different world. They're focusing on different things, and just the climate's differences are it's interesting to hear other perspectives and how they even, just coming into the sales side of it, even though I'm not in sales, hearing how they position products in different
right.
areas, different markets, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, the salespeople are rock stars. It's an incredible group, both here and in the UK. They're very tied into things. One of the things I hope you get more of a chance to even go visit more golf courses in the UK, because the thing that blows my mind is how much they do with very few resources. Typically the budgets are, I've always estimated about a third for a comparable course in the UK and one in Cleveland, Ohio, or wherever, and they still pull off amazing conditions. And the remarkable thing is how much they do rely on Aquatrols products and wetting agents and stuff as part of it, because they've learned that moisture management is the key to survival without fungicides or with fewer and fewer insecticides. So I hope you get that chance and you go out and you really dig in, because you'll learn a lot from those guys.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Like I said, just talking with the sales force over there, hearing their perspective on things,
Yeah.
they have a different way of looking at it, and a lot of it makes sense.
So if people want to reach out and ask you dumb questions about products, can they do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, great, great. I know that they can find your contact information probably on this video by the time we get done with it, but maybe also on the Aquatrol company website. So, any last thoughts? Anything you wanted to make sure you told everybody about your life now that you've transitioned over to become a supplier and all that kind of stuff? What do you want to make sure people know about you?
Big thing, proof trials are a big part of my responsibility, and it's just coming into it, this being an entirely new position with the company as well. I'm constantly looking to build my Rolodex of people that are looking to try new stuff. Um, I know there's a lot of superintendents out there that like to mess around with new stuff.
Yeah,
It's very fun to be on the cutting edge of new stuff coming out, or testing something. Maybe you have a way that you're using a product that isn't normal, what people aren't usually using
yeah.
it. And I'd love to hear from you. I'm constantly looking to add more trials out there and get more feedback from the end users, from the guys that are using these products on a daily basis.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, well, we'll put the word out right
All
now.
right.
If you're interested in doing trials and getting a first, an early look at new products and learning more about the process and the technologies, give Troy a call.
Yes.
So no, I
Phone's
know
not
lots
ringing
of
yet.
people reach out, and it is really the most important thing, because, like I said, Octos has always been a science-based company, but the science only takes you so far. What really matters is how it works in the real world, and that sounds like that's your new job.
Yes.
So, okay, Troy, you passed the test. You're off the hook. You have done your turf soon. And I was really delighted to get a chance to talk to you. And I wish you the best, even though you're now in Iowa. I'm a Kansas guy. I don't know if you can see all that back there. We'll just have to find a way to get along anyway.
I think we can make it work.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody. And stay tuned for more turf zooms coming to you from the Aquatrols Company.